Welcome, everyone. We have several presenters today. So we have Laura Hicks from the Alabama Tourism Department. We have a wave there. We have Pam Williams from Huntsville CVB, Karen Beasley from Visit North Alabama, Tara Walton from Birmingham CVB, and Tom White from Mobile CVB. With that, I will pass things over to Laura Hicks.
Thank you. I am the International Sales Manager for the Alabama Tourism Department, and I'm so excited to hop on and tell you guys about Alabama. Just want to say again, hey, y'all. That's what you have to say when you come to the South is, hey, y'all. And just want to start out, for those of you who don't know where Alabama is, we are the heart and soul of the South, right in the middle. We are south of Tennessee, and to the east of us is Georgia, and to the west of Alabama is Mississippi and Louisiana, and to the south of us is Florida, which normally north of us gets snow, but we've had snow as of late, and then parts of South Alabama and North Florida. So it's been quite a trip this week. But we're going to take you on a road trip today and tell you all about Alabama. Alabama is home to many picturesque, advanced slides while I speak, and naturally scenic mountains and waterfalls. That's why we call it Alabama the Beautiful. And today we're going to talk to you about an iconic road trip from Nashville to New Orleans through Alabama, and one new road trip that is available now from one of our partners from the Great Lakes in Chicago to the Gulf of Mexico in Alabama. So we have a lot of fun today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Karen, representing the North Alabama Mountain Lakes Tourist Association.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, everyone. North Alabama is situated about 2 hours south of Nashville, just as you see on the map on your screen. It's a pretty easy, straight down I-65. Here in North Alabama, our hotel rates are significantly cheaper than in Nashville. Overall, it's more affordable, pretty easy to navigate, and we have great music and great food to experience. So if you'll go to the next slide, Laura.
I will. And Karen, you can do that yourself with the little arrows. So.
Okay. I'll have to look for that.
Okay.
So North Alabama is home to several iconic figures: W.C. Handy, father of the blues, Olympic great Jesse Owens, who won 4 gold medals and broke records at the 1936 Berlin Olympics, and Helen Keller, who overcame deafness and blindness as a child. And she's had a pretty tremendous impact on the world in terms of advocating for others with disabilities. The childhood homes of all 3 of these people are open for tours, guided tours, or you can go through at your leisure. So first, let's get started with the hit recording capital of the world. Fame Studios, Muscle Shoals Sound, and a host of other recording studios made Muscle Shoals, Alabama, the hit recording capital of the world in the 1960s and 1970s. Artists that came to North Alabama to record during this time period, they include Aretha Franklin, Percy Sledge, Wilson Pickett, the Osmonds, the Rolling Stones, Rod Stewart, Cher, and many, many more. Some of the recent artists that we've had in to record, they've include Chris Stapleton, Alicia Keys, Lana Del Rey, Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, Hart Singer, and Wilson. And I would recommend watching the documentary Muscle Shoals. I believe it was released in 2016, but it tells the story of Rick Hall, the founder of Fame Recording Studios, and all of the artists that he discovered from this time period in the 60s and 70s. But you can just search for it on the different streaming services. I watched it last year, and I don't remember if it was Netflix or where, but you should be able to find it, but I would recommend watching it. It's a wonderful story. At Muscle Shoals Sound Studio that you see on the screen right now, you'll notice that baby grand piano there. So this is the same piano that the original demo for Leonard Skinner's Freebird was cut on, if you're familiar with that song. So if you go to, they offer guided tours at the studio. So if you go for one of these guided tours, you'll hear stories like this. There's not a picture of this image, but there's a toilet in there that Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, he sat on and wrote Wild Horses. So I would recommend doing a guided tour there so you can hear other little stories like this. Fame Recording Studios is open for guided tours as well. So you can hear and you can see Rick Hall's desk and see a lot of his personal items they have on display there. And then if we can go to the next slide and we can talk about the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. Thank you, Laura. Over in the Shoals, not too far from the two recording studios, we have the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. And this honors Alabama's great music achievers. These include Lionel Richie, Nat King Cole, Percy Sledge, Jimmy Buffett, Tammy Wynette, Hank Williams, Country Music Group Alabama. And it can go on and on. There's also a recording booth in the Music Hall of Fame where you can record your own song if you would like. So it's just a fun, interesting place where you can learn about all the great artists from the state of Alabama. If we can go to the next slide, we're going to switch gears a little bit and go to shopping. So did you know that all of the lost luggage in the United States ends up in Alabama? Ever since 1970, the Unclaimed Baggage Center in Scottsboro has an agreement with all the airlines. After a 90-day period, if the luggage is not reunited with the owner, it is sent to unclaimed baggage. They open each suitcase. They have the clothes dry clean. They even donate some items. It's a 50,000 square foot facility that is laid out just like a department store. So you have your women's, you have men's, electronics, toys, jewelry. You can really find good deals on a lot of different types of things like sunglasses, iPads, laptops, even luggage. They do have a museum in the front of the store. So it's kind of interesting to see some of the very unusual items that they have come across with. They came across a Gucci bag with some Egyptian artifacts in it, a suit of armor, a rattlesnake, the Hoggle puppet. But it's just a really fun place to go and just see what people travel with. And I did come across a list that they put together. This is for 2023. I haven't found a list for 24 yet, but they put together the 10 most expensive things that they found in 2023 in luggage. And the number one item was a 14 karat gold diamond ring that appraised at $37,000. Number two was a Cartier watch appraised at $26,000. Third item was a Hermes Birkin bag that appraised at $25,000. So it's really crazy that people carry this stuff and then it goes unclaimed. But anyway, you can search that list. I'm sure you can come across it and see all 10 items. I won't go through all of those. If you'll go to the next slide, Laura. Okay, here's a beautiful waterfall. This is something else that North Alabama is known for. We've got some really unique attractions, but we also have beautiful scenery, the mountains, waterfalls. This one is Nakalula Falls. It is one of our waterfalls on the North Alabama Waterfall Trail. We've handpicked 27 locations. And what's really kind of unique about this waterfall is you can walk behind it or you can view it from above. In addition to our waterfall trail, we've got 9 other themed trails. We have barbecue, wine, craft beer, train depot, churches, Patriot motorcycle route, mural, and an agricultural trail so it doesn't really matter what you're interested in. We've got several different things that you can check out in addition to all the unique attractions. And next slide, please. Thanks. Another really kind of unique thing about North Alabama is we have our own take on barbecue. We have the award-winning Big Bob Gibson, which you see right here on the screen. They've won, gosh, I don't know, countless competitions, I think close to a dozen world championships. But what they are kind of known for, they are credited with creating the white sauce. And you can see a picture of the bottle to the left there with that huge potato piled high with barbecue cheese and butter. But this white sauce is like a vinegar, mayo, black pepper concoction. It's really something different. It's kind of tangy, but it's really great on smoked chicken. And Big Bob's, they're celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. So they've been around for a really long time. I think they're in the 5th generation of the family running it. Next slide, please. This is another kind of unique and quirky restaurant that we've got here in North Alabama. It is the Rattlesnake Saloon. It's actually very close to where Helen Keller was born and lived during her childhood years. It's a saloon that's built into a cave, as you can see here. Guests are picked up in the parking lot. That's just a little short drive away, and they're taken in the back of this pickup truck down to the outdoor restaurant. They have music on the weekends. It's a pretty simple menu, burgers and chicken fingers. It's really the atmosphere where it's located and what they're doing with this cave. So that's another really unique place to check out. And then if you'll go to the last slide, here we've got a picture of our one of our wineries. So in addition to great barbecue, we also have great wine and craft beer. We've got 6 wineries on the North Alabama Wine Trail. A lot of people don't realize that grapes can be grown in North Alabama, but they can be. And kind of one of the specialties is a muscadine wine. It's like a sweet wine. So if you're ever here, I would highly recommend checking that out. So that concludes my presentation. I appreciate your time and hope to see you all in North Alabama soon.
Thank you, Karen. We will see you on the wine trail or the barbecue trail. And next up, I want to introduce you to Pam Williams with the Huntsville Convention and Visitors Bureau. You see, Huntsville is located in North Alabama, and North Alabama is Nashville's backyard. So just take it away, Pam.
Good morning. Thank you all for your time this morning and this opportunity to share Huntsville with you all. As Laura pointed out, we're located right at the top of the state, just below the Tennessee state line. And Huntsville is known as the Rocket City. So why in the world is Huntsville, Alabama known as the Rocket City? So I hope to answer that question for you this morning and share a little bit about my hometown. So Huntsville is now the largest city in the state of Alabama, but comparatively speaking, our population is about 240,000. So even though we're the largest city in the state, we're very easy to get around. Everything is easily accessible. So we have a lot of the amenities of much larger cities, but once again, it's easy to enjoy. What we are known for is the U.S. Space and Rocket Center that you see here. The U.S. Space and Rocket Center is the world's largest space museum, and our NASA facility is Marshall Space Flight Center. So Marshall Space Flight Center was the very first NASA facility. We have been involved in every single U.S. space program from before NASA even existed. And now we're currently working on the Artemis program, which will take man back to the moon. So that is why we are known as Rocket City. We're the birthplace of the U.S. space program, and we're not only past tense, we are currently working, as I mentioned, on Artemis. So the Space and Rocket Center is the official visitor center for Marshall Space Flight Center. It is home to Space Camp, which a lot of people have heard of Space Camp. It's been around since 1982. But that is only one of 4 camp programs that they have at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. And Space Camp is not just for children. There are adult programs and there are family programs. So Space Camp Aviation Challenge and Space Camp Robotics are the 3 camps that are available for international visitors. The 4th camp is a cybersecurity training camp program only for students for U.S. citizens. So the UN Space and Rocket Center is one of those attractions that is a not to be missed experience. There are docents there in the museum. If you see anybody in a white lab coat, they are either a retired NASA employee or a retired contractor. So you may be talking to someone that helped design this huge rocket here that you see, the Saturn V, which took us to the moon in 1969. One of my personal favorite spots in the Space and Rocket Center is inside the Davidson Center for Space Exploration. And inside the lobby, you see the Quick plane. And this is an airplane that flew in 1908. So it's a plane that flew 5 years after the Wright brothers flew. And as you look past the plane to the Saturn V that you see there, you realize that from 1908 to 1969, we went from first flight in Huntsville to walking on the moon. That's only 61 years from the first flight to landing on the moon. So it's an incredible experience. Highly recommend anytime you're in the area, make time to see the Space and Rocket Center. The Intuitive Planetarium is an incredible experience also at the Space and Rocket Center. It is a dome experience, completely interactive. Highly, highly recommend. So that is the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. And basically right next door, the Huntsville Botanical Gardens, right down the road from the Space and Rocket Center. This botanical garden is about 120 acres. They have events year-round. So in the springtime, of course, everything's gorgeous and bloom, but they do have special events all throughout the year, including around the holidays. They have the Galaxy of Lights, which has been nominated and has received numerous awards throughout the years. And this is a lights exhibit. It's about a 2-mile route through the garden. They have walking nights and they have driving nights, and it's worth seeing it both ways. It's a different experience. This year in April, we will be adding a special addition to the garden. One of Thomas Dambo's troll sculptures will be joining our garden. This will be in addition to those that appear throughout the world. I'm not sure exactly how many sites, but we will be adding Mother Earth to our botanical garden. Also on site is the Butterfly House, which is the nation's largest seasonal butterfly house. It's open usually about April through September, October. An incredible family experience, like I said. And there are classes. They teach classes there on site as well. There's a little cafe and one of the best gift shops you'll find at an attraction. On to music. So Karen talked about the hit capital of the world, the Muscle Shoals sound, which Muscle Shoals is only about an hour and 15 minutes west of Huntsville. Easy drive into Huntsville from Muscle Shoals. So it's worth experiencing those attractions and touring those sound studios and recording studios, and then coming over to Huntsville to experience one of our live music events. You see here on the left is the Orion Amphitheater. This is an 8,000 seat amphitheater. It looks like the Roman Colosseum from the outside. There's not a bad seat anywhere in that venue. I have been there in the heat of the summer. I've been there in the rain, and it's still a phenomenal experience. It's in the Mid-City District of Huntsville, so it's very conveniently located to the Space and Rocket Center, to Bridge Street Town Center, and downtown Huntsville. Their concert series usually runs about early April through November, but it's also a community destination. So they, as well as like the Botanical Garden, they have events that go on year round, and they have a holiday series. They have arts and crafts events. They have smaller music festivals. They have a Latin Heritage Music Festival each year. It's an incredible venue. And like I said, it is just an incredible experience. It is only an 8,000 seat venue. Once again, easy to get in and out of, easy to park, walk right in. But because of the caliber of the experience for the artist as well as the audience, we have large artists that want to play there, even though it's an 8,000 seat venue. We've had the Dave Matthews Band, we've had Chris Stapleton, we've had Snoop Dogg, we've had all kinds of comedians. So it's all genres of music. And then next, the Mars Music Hall is located right in downtown. This is at our convention center, the Von Braun Center. And this is more of a typical music hall. It's general admission. You see the picture there. It's stand up. Most of the venue is stand up, or they do have upstairs. They have some seats. Some acts will have seats on the floor. Its capacity is about 1,200 people. And another incredible option for music. But we have a lot of smaller venues throughout Huntsville too, to experience live music pretty much on a nightly basis. Arts and entertainment. So Low Mill, which is pictured here. Low Mill is a historic textile mill building. It was built around 1900. So it's a gorgeous historic building in its own right, but now it's the nation's largest privately owned arts facility. And there are over 250 artists there with their working studios, and it's studio space after gallery space after restaurants. So it's all mediums of art, from culinary arts to performing arts, and it's a free attraction. It's open to the public Wednesday through Saturday. And it's a wonderful place just to go and browse and talk with the artists and shop with the artists. Most teach classes, and then have a bite to eat, grab a cup of tea, and just enjoy your time there at Low Mill Arts and Entertainment. Our downtown area is, you can see it in my backdrop here, and I chose a sunny picture on purpose. It looks a lot warmer in this picture than it actually is today, that's for sure. But our historic downtown area is very walkable. All the restaurants in the downtown area are locally owned. We have wonderful guides that you can book a tour, or we have self-guided audio tours through an app. And Harrison Brothers Hardware, which is pictured here on the right. This is the state's oldest operating hardware store, but now it's more, it's very historic on the inside, but now it's more of a shopping destination with local art and wonderful, unique local souvenirs. But as I mentioned, we do have free walking tours, or you can book a guided walking tour for individuals or for your group. Burritt on the Mountain is one of our historic attractions. It sits up on top of Montesano Mountain, has the best view of the city and of the Tennessee Valley. It is a historic living history museum. You see some pictures there on the right, but then also it is the Burritt Mansion. Dr. Burritt was a very eccentric homeopathic physician. He built his mansion in the 1930s. And it's open for tours. It's open for special events, special dinners. They do have a concert series that runs throughout the summer into the fall. And then they have special festivals throughout the year as well. But this is an incredible experience to see what rural life was like in this area in the 1800s, as well as visiting a reconstructed Rosenwald schoolhouse, which is an incredible history lesson in itself. They also have a fantastic gift shop, by the way. The Huntsville Museum of Art is located right in the heart of downtown in the Big Spring International Park on the water in downtown area. This museum, its permanent collection has about 4,000 pieces in it. It focuses on Southern and regional art, as well as having internationally known traveling exhibits that come through on an annual basis. They usually have about 2 or 3 of those traveling exhibits annually. It is also the back door or the site of a lot of annual festivals right there in Big Spring International Park. That's where a lot of our annual festivals occur, including the Tinsel Trail, and you see in the small picture there, ice skating in the park. And there's a nice little restaurant there on site as well. Incredible food. And speaking of food, Huntsville is a very eclectic, has a very eclectic culinary scene. We celebrate our culinary scene every August for Culinary Month, and the highlight or the main event of Culinary Month is our Huntsville Restaurant Week, We usually have on average about 80 different restaurants that will offer specials during Culinary Month and or Restaurant Week. And we also have culinary trails. We have a craft beer trail, we have a craft cocktail, and a craft coffee trail throughout the downtown area. And it's worth a visit during August to experience all those wonderful things that all the incredible dishes that our creative chefs come up with during Huntsville Restaurant Week. Outdoor recreation, as Karen was talking about with our waterfall trail of North Alabama, Huntsville has Montesano State Park right on top of Montesano Mountain with wonderful hiking and biking and climbing available. But we're very fortunate. You can be on a hiking trail in 15 minutes from downtown Huntsville. The Land Trust of North Alabama has secured, I believe they're well over 10,000 acres, and they have several different trails throughout the Huntsville area. So easy opportunity to experience nature while visiting Huntsville. And then, of course, we have our sports teams. We have our minor league baseball and our minor league soccer team that just started a couple years ago in Huntsville. So plenty of access, easy access. And then we're also just about 10 miles. Downtown Huntsville is only about 10 to 12 miles from the Tennessee River. We are a stop on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Hampton Cove. There are 2 courses there available for your avid golfers. Incredible, incredible golf. And then our world-class accommodations. I just wanted to picture a few here. These are the ones, there are a few downtown properties that are easy access to walkability in the downtown area. Wonderful rooftop bars and restaurants in these hotels. And then we also have one pictured Weston, which is at the Bridge Street Town Center, which is a shopping destination for Huntsville. It features about 75 mid to upscale shops and about 20 different restaurants as well. The restaurants at Bridge Street are more of your nationally known chain restaurants, whereas the restaurants in downtown are all locally owned. And a couple of our very unique destinations. I've already mentioned Low Mill, and Low Mill was a textile mill building that has now been converted into an artist community. Well, Campus 805 and Stovehouse. Campus 805 was actually an old high school that is now a dining and entertainment venue in its own right. There are 2 craft breweries on site and about 5 different restaurants. It is also the site of several annual events. Great place to dine and great place to experience craft beer. And you'll not want to miss the hidden speakeasy there at Campus 805. Stovehouse is right down the street from Campus 805, and this is an old stove factory that the owners have converted into a dining and entertainment venue. There are 7 different restaurants on site there. They usually have some kind of event every night, whether it be live music, to trivia, to music, to a movie on the leisure lawn. Lots of vibrant activities going on at both of these locations, and there's a craft brewery there at Stovehouse as well. And I believe this might be my last slide. I wanted to give you, these are a couple of our experience makers, Jackie Reeves with Avalon Tours and Denise Swain with Seen That Tours. These are a couple of our local guides that you can book for individual or group tour through our downtown area and different districts. They offer several different themed tours for you, whether it be a foodie tour, a history tour, or a ghost walk through the downtown. They can provide walking tours, or they can do step-on tours. So I wanted to mention these 2 ladies for you to look for their tour opportunities. And that might be the last of my slides.
Yes. Thank you, Pam. And next, I want to take you just down the road. Thank you for showing us Huntsville. Just down the road, a couple of hours, is Birmingham, and I want to introduce Tara Walton with the Birmingham Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you all again for being here today. And I am so pleased to be able to share just a little bit about Birmingham with you all today. In Birmingham, You and your clients can experience an unmistakable blend of Southern hospitality and some cosmopolitan charm. Our city is brimming with history, entertainment, outdoor recreation, nightlife, shopping, and we have world-class cuisine. Here you see a view of a panoramic view, actually, of Vulcan. Vulcan is the world's largest cast iron man statue, second to the size to the Statue of Liberty. Vulcan represents our city symbol, and he is patterned after the mythical god of the forge. So he's sort of a nod to our city's industrial heritage. You can visit Vulcan. You can also, as you can just slightly see in the photo there, you can go up to the top and there's again, an observation area that gives you a view of Birmingham. Also on the grounds is a museum, and there is an old mine also located on Vulcan Park. Another site there in the distance where Vulcan was cast for the 1904 World Exposition is Sloss Furnaces. It's a blast furnace that you can take a tour, whether it's early in the morning during sunrise or by lantern at night. And they also offer a food experience at Sloss Furnace. Sloss Furnace is now on the National Registry as a National Historic Landmark. Here is a photograph of some of our jazz music scenery, if you will. In Birmingham, you can enjoy tons of music all year round. In April, we celebrate the Magic City Art Connection that has a food component. In June, we celebrate the Steel City Jazz Festival. In August, there is the Sidewalk Film Festival, and along with that is a complimentary festival called the Taste of 4th Avenue Jazz. And then in September, we highlight our Food Plus Culture Fest, and that's a 7-day event. That includes tastings of all types of food along with entertainment. It's indoor, outdoor. There are some chef experiences, some beer making experiences. So bring your appetite when you come. If you do want to get outdoors, you can hit the links. As Pam mentioned, Alabama does have Robert Trent Jones golf courses across the state. Birmingham is 3 hours from Nashville south, and we're about an hour and a half south from Huntsville. We're right in the center of the state, and then headed further south, about 4 hours, under 4 hours, is Mobile. So here in Birmingham, you can get out and experience 140,000 yards of golf on some of our public courses, as well as we have 2 Robert Trent Jones golf trail courses in Birmingham located on a Marriott brand resort property called Renaissance Ross Bridge. If you're into outdoor experiences, you can canoe at the Cahaba River. You can mountain bike at Red Mountain Park. You can hike trails at Ruffner Mountain Nature Center. Or if you want to just step back in time and experience a little bit of sports, Rick Wood Field, located in Birmingham, is the nation's oldest professional baseball stadium, and you can catch a game. During the month of end of May, around the 1st of June, there is the Rick Wood Classic, which is held at Rick Wood Field. Here is Barber's Motorsports Museum, where you can cruise through the nation's and the world's actually largest collection of motorcycles, over 1,600, and see races, both vintage and modern, and the largest Lotus car collection is housed at Barber Motorsports Museum. The museum is adjacent to Barber Motorsports Park, which is a world-class road course and home to the annual Grand Prix Indy Race, which is held each year in the spring, and an annual vintage motorcycle festival attracting visitors from all over the world is held in October. If you feel the need for speed, well, Porsche does their training experience on the track at Barber's Motorsports Park. Also, Mercedes does their brand immersion at Barber's. Hungry? Well, we got it all. If you're hungry and you know it, clap your hands in Birmingham. Now, when you visit Birmingham, be sure to bring your appetite because we are known as the dinner table of the South. We have become known for our chef owned restaurants, our global menus, and commitment to offering memorable dining experience. From soul food to barbecue, from brunch to white tablecloths diners and James Beard award winning restaurants, we have foodie culture that pleases all palates and appetites. So then, after you get through eating, got to get a little bit of entertainment in the way of drinking, if that's your thing. We have a food tour with a comedian. It is known as Eat, Drink, Ride Tour. Comedian Joy, and she brings joy. You get to stop along the way and sample several restaurants, locally owned restaurants. They all are ready for you to receive you when you come in and give you a sampling of what their signature dishes are. We also have a small group tour known as the Pedal Bike Tour. So that will take you by several of the breweries throughout the downtown and south side area of Birmingham. We also offer a wine tour out at Ozan Winery where you can get on an old train and take a tour down the track, come back, do some wine tasting, and also some food sampling at Ozan. Here, explore the history of the American Civil Rights Movement across the Birmingham Civil Rights District, which was designated as a national monument by President Barack Obama before he left office. This is also a part of the U.S. National Park Service Trail. Here in this area, visitors can experience this important history as the district's key landmarks, including, as you see here, 16th Street Baptist Church. There's also an image of the Wells window, which was donated to the church after the tragic bombing, which took the lives of 4 little girls on September 15th, a Sunday morning during worship service. The window was donated by the children of Wales, the country of Wales, after they had a penny drive campaign, raised money, commissioned John Petts, who designed and constructed the window, shipped it, and then it was installed. In the photograph of the church, the centerpiece, as you see, is where you can see the Wells window. Also, a part of the National Park Service Trail is historic Bethel Baptist Church, Kelly Ingram Park, which served as the congregating area for demonstrators during the 1960 children's campaign and other organizing campaigns here in Birmingham. The 4th Avenue Business District is also designated, as well as the reopened, renovated Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame and the A.G. Gaston Motel, which is where Dr. Martin Luther King met and collaborated with allies here in Birmingham as they organized the Birmingham campaign. With this unrivaled place in American civil rights history, Birmingham has been called the city that changed the world. Well, Birmingham is a city of dreamers and doers that defies expectations and reveals new possibilities every time you visit. So, if someone asks what is there new to see and do in Birmingham, tell them everything, especially if they've never been. We'll give them an experience they will remember. So I hope to see you in Birmingham soon, Laura.
Thank you, Tara. And next up, we're going to take you just a few hours down the road to Mobile. And you have to say it with that long Southern drawl. And I want to introduce Tom White with the Mobile Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Thank you, Laura. Yes, it's Mobile. Long before mobile was a very common word that we used in the English language throughout the years. Mobile is where it came from. To understand Mobile itself, you have to understand the history of Mobile. So long before the United States, long before the state of Alabama or any of that was even a thought of everything, is you go all the way back into the late 1600s, the 1690s, into the very early 1700s. The French were dominant in the Southeast at that time, using lots of trade for agriculture, mainly cotton, and sending it back, exporting it across the Atlantic Ocean over to France. That was the economic boom of the time. King Louis sent Admiral d'Iberville and his brother to the Gulf of Mexico looking for a way to establish a new port and a new way to be able to bring agriculture down from the Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana area into the Gulf of Mexico. They found the Mobile Bay, which had 5 rivers that flow into it, and settled into our area in 1702. So we were founded by the French, and very much have that French influence of who we are and what we've been for many years. They began to build ships and bring agriculture through those 5 rivers that flow into the bay, out the Mobile Bay into the Gulf of Mexico, through the Caribbean, all the way across the Atlantic and over to France. In 1703, those French settlers who were in the Mobile Bay began to celebrate Carnival for the very first time. Here in the United States, we call Carnival Mardi Gras. But it's all celebrated around the religious dates of Lent. So in the American Mardi Gras celebration all began in Mobile, Alabama in 1702, many years before New Orleans was even a city, which became in 1718. So they've made it famous because they have the largest celebration of Mardi Gras in the United States. But we are the home of the original Mardi Gras. Over 1 million visitors a year come into Mobile during the 21 days that we have parades. Officially, Mardi Gras begins on January 6th and runs all the way until Fat Tuesday, the day before Lent. Parades begin, as we said, 3 weeks before. This year's parades start February 14th, Valentine's Day. And then there's a parade every single day leading all the way up to March 4th. So the holiday fluctuates a little bit based upon when the Lent holiday is. But being a city that's 1702, we're very historic. One of the oldest cities in the United States. In fact, older than Charleston and New Orleans. But if you think about Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Mobile, Alabama, they were all settled by the French during that window of about 30 years. So the vibe of the city are very similar to that. We're very much different than kind of the rest of Alabama. We're a Gulf Coast city influenced by the French throughout that time, which has a big influence on who we are. Sorry, I hit the button wrong. So the French ruled us for about 100 years, and then the English came in and battled and took it away in the Battle of the Mobile Bay. So then for several years after that, the English ruled us, the British, and had a big influence of what we are in our culture, our culinary experience, our music, and everything we do. The Spanish then came in and took over the Mobile area, and then ruled it for many more years as well, until finally, as part of the Louisiana Purchase, that area of Mobile was sold to the United States, and then Alabama was formed as an official state of Alabama. So long before all of Alabama and long before the United States, Mobile has a history of the French, of the Native Americans, of the British, of the Spanish, and including a very influential piece of the African piece of who we are. So which we'll talk a little bit more in depth in a minute. But that really influenced our culture, our city, our culinary scene, and our music, and it still influences us to today. So you really get a good sense of a historic United States along the Gulf Coast. Being on the Gulf Coast is typically very warm and very sunny, except for the once in 150 year snowstorm that came through and put 7 inches of snow on us. That was, we broke the record that was set in 1881 as the largest amount of snow. It snows like once a decade, and this just happens to be when it happens. So, but it will be 65 degrees on Saturday, so all the snow will slowly be gone by the time the weekend gets here. But normally it's very warm, even in the winter. The springs and the fall are beautiful. The summer are great and nice and warm and hot. So you want to get into that Gulf, that Mobile Bay and the Gulf of Mexico and the beaches of Dauphin Island and really take in that summertime experience. So some of the big attractions is what the second largest attraction in the state of Alabama, second behind the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, is the U.S. Alabama Battleship Memorial Park. The USS Alabama is a World War II class battleship. It sits right there in the middle of the Mobile Bay, as you can see the bay in the background. It also has an aircraft hangar facility on site, the big, large white building off to the right in the photo. And behind that is the USS Drum, which is a World War class submarine. You can fully engage both the submarine and the battleship. You can get onto the ship and go down into the ship. There are guided tours that are offered daily, including there are self-guided tours. It's about can be anywhere from a 2-hour to a 6-hour experience. They have food and beverage on site with a restaurant, a gift shop, and they do special events as well. But it's definitely a bucket list item to see when you come in to the Gulf Coast area, to be able to go by the USS Alabama battleship. They are open 7 days a week, closed only for certain holidays. Otherwise, it's a great experience to really understand the history of the World War II, as well as the history of the military in that area. So the Africa influence that we spoke of. So there is a small community just a few minutes north of the downtown Mobile area, which is only about 20 minutes. It's in the Mobile area, called Africa Town. The important part is that in Mobile, we tell all the stories of the history, including the bad history. So in the 1700s and 1800s, when slavery was permitted in the United States, Mobile was the second largest slave market along the Gulf Coast, only second to New Orleans, with the number of free Africans that were kidnapped and brought over and sold into slavery. As the slavery was outlawed in the United States, it was still permitted to have slaves. You just could no longer export humans in with human trafficking and sell them into slavery. There was a landowner and a large business gentleman and a shipbuilder in the Mobile area who kind of felt like the rules didn't apply to him. And he kind of made a bet that he could bring a ship full of free Africans and sell them into slavery, and not only not get caught, but get away with it. So in 1862, 110 Africans came in through the Mobile Bay on a ship called the Clotilda. The Clotilda went up the Mobile River, offloaded these free Africans, sold half of them into slavery. Half of these slaves were sent up into the Tuscaloosa and the Selma and the Montgomery area to work the farms, and the other half stayed in that area. This was happening during the United States Civil War. And as the Civil War ended, these Africans were then freed. They didn't have the funds or money to go back to Africa. So they stayed in that area and settled into a community called Africa Town. And what was different with them, these were free Africans who were now living in the United States versus people who were born into slavery. So it was a different culture and speak, and their religion and their culture from Africa, which is from Benin, Africa, right near Nigeria. It came over. They settled and lived in this community for the next 160, 70 years, and still Africa Town is still a big community of that. And for years, the story of the Clotilda was kind of told, but unproven whether it was accurate or not. There was a lot of misinformation about it where people were kind of deflecting away. It was a serious crime to do what Mr. Mayer did in 1862. And so he did not want to get caught and everybody get a part of that. In 2019, the ship, which had been burned and sank in order to hide the evidence, that ship was found where it sank in the Mobile River. Since in last year, in July 8th, which is the anniversary of their landing day when the ship arrived in the Mobile Bay, we opened a new museum called the Africa Town Heritage House. This Africa Town Heritage House has an exhibit of the Clotilda ship, parts of the ship, and tell the story of these 110 free Africans sold into slavery. This is known as the last known slave ship to come into the United States with slavery. It's a very emotional story and a very impactful story. And I highly, highly recommend any guests who come down into the Gulf Coast area to put the Africatown Heritage House on their list of things to do. It has an impact on everyone. Another great story, another story that is big in our area is Mr. and Mr. Bellingraph. Mr. Bellingraph was the largest distributor of Coca-Cola product in the early 1900s when Coca-Cola was first invented. And he lived in the Mobile area. He bottled, produced and bottled and distributed this Coca-Cola throughout the Southeast, throughout Alabama, throughout Mississippi and Louisiana, and became extremely rich. Think like Elon Musk kind of money, but 1920. He built a home out at that time, very south of Mobile, which is only 20 minutes now, and it was kind of his home retreat. While Mr. Bellingraph made a lot of money, Mrs. Bellingraph liked to spend a lot of money. She bought antiques and furniture and great gifts for the house and such. They never had any children. And so when Mr. Bellingraph passed away, and then a few years later, Mrs. Bellingraph, Mrs. Bellingraph passed away first. Mr. Bellingraph, because she loved the gardens, wanted the gardens to be kind of open to the public for everybody to come and see. He passed away some years later, and now that is now a foundation. It is the Bellingraph Gardens and Home, and you can come and see it. It's one of the incredible gardens and historic homes throughout the United States. And the home itself has a huge history of the family and what they did. It is one of 10 gardens that has been recognized on the planet and the only one in North America as a significant impact of the history of that. So it is definitely a bucket list item. Bellingraph Gardens and Home, it's just a few minutes south of Mobile, only about 20 minutes from downtown Mobile itself. It's an incredible experience. They do events throughout the year as well. Their holiday lights is an incredible experience. They do Gardens and Brews events. So throughout the year, just about every 2 or 3 weeks, there's an event taking place where the ticket is open to the public to attend as well. And lots of music, as we talked about, all the way from Muscle Shoals to Huntsville to Birmingham, Montgomery, all the way down into Mobile. Live music is a part of what the South is, and is just as influenced by Mobile. As we mentioned, the French, the Spanish, the English, the Africans, through all the years, over 300 something years of what Mobile's story is. Music has been a part of that since 1703 when we started celebrating Mardi Gras right there in Mobile. So the Sanger Theater is a photo you see here, is a huge music hall facility. We also have Soul Kitchen as a music hall facility. And in the downtown area, there are 58 different locations that offer live music at different times. So 7 days a week, you can come into Mobile and experience a live music showcase, whether in a small, intimate pub or they're out in the causeway in the middle of the bay, sitting on the boat docks, listening to live music at the Bluegill restaurant, or whether you're in the music hall theater of the Sanger Theater or Soul Kitchen, and soon to be our 15,000 seat arena that will be built downtown, which will then begin to showcase headlining acts from all over the United States. So that takes place throughout it. So the jazz, the rock, the country, the classic music, the rap, the R&B, you name it, we have it going on in Mobile.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for showing us Mobile. I want to tell you rapid fire just a few other things. The Amtrak service is returning to Mobile, which will be a twice a day, 3-hour train ride. It's really going to be early summer, but that's a great way to experience New Orleans and Mobile, twin cities that share a lot of the same history, cuisine, and Mardi Gras. In the middle of the state, we have Montgomery, a very compact downtown with more museums downtown than most cities, and it's on the banks of the Alabama River, the birthplace of civil rights with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led the Voting Rights Museum, and you can also walk in the footsteps of great civil rights leaders and see where Rosa Parks took a stand by refusing to give up her seat. Walk a few blocks to where she was arrested and see the Rosa Parks Museum. You can see the Capitol where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made a famous speech, how long, Lord, not long, and then see the only church he ever pastored. Down the road from Montgomery is Selma, where you can see the anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March, which will experience the 60th anniversary this year, the 70th anniversary of Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat to start the Montgomery bus boycott. The southernmost point of the state is Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, twin cities that share 32 miles of sugary white sands Gulf beaches and plenty of activity for visitors. Gulf State Park and 9,000 acres of bayside and homes. As we've mentioned before, in all of our cities, tasty food and tours. Gulf shrimp that comes up from the Gulf fresh daily is just amazing. American Tours International has an epic road trip that they've just come online with Chicago to New Orleans. Get your vibe on 65 to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the Route 66 tour. So it's just going to be all the way down Interstate 65. And then Nashville to New Orleans is a tour that they've had online for some time. Civil rights history, 7 tentative UNESCO World History sites that will come online in 2027. And that's it. Any questions, you can put them in the chat. I just wanted to get through all of that so that you would have it on your recording. There's really, spring, summer, as we talked about, are great times to visit Alabama. You can wear flip-flops just about year-round down in the Gulf, and great food, great history, great music.
Amazing. Thank you so much to all of our presenters and the whole team down there in Alabama. We really appreciate you joining us today. Have a great day, everyone. And
thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Y'all come.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.